Hello. In this session, I want to look at what is inside Sage CRM 2022 R2. So what you can expect when you finally can get your hands on it and you go through the process of either installing Sage CRM for the first time or upgrading. Now, the exact release date is dependent on where you are around the world, but by now, hopefully, everyone has got availability to the session, and obviously today is the 27th of September, and it is the session on all Talking CRM, the summit for Sage CRM. The changes in Sage CRM 2022 R2 have mainly focused on the new email and contact import feature. This is an important aspect because it replaces the classic Outlook and light Outlook plugins, as well as you'll see that we've got a general review of the user experience and the readability of the interface. So let's have a look at what we've done. We're going to start, first of all, thinking about the general changes that we've made in terms of updates and bug fixes. And what you'll be getting there, we've done quite a good burn down of the cases. We're very happy with the number of customer support cases that we've been able to address. But the meat of what we've done in this work has been around feature renewal. If you think about what you may know about Sage CRM is that it has an integration with Exchange and it has an integration with Outlook, and actually it has a couple of integrations with Outlook because it has something called Classic Outlook integration and Light Outlook integration, both relying on plugins. And this is really where the key work was done, because those plugins are dependent on technologies that are now really quite outdated. There was use of ActiveX within the technology and dependency on components within the operating system that ultimately rested on the Internet Explorer stack and the Internet Explorer way of handling the JavaScript engines, etc. So what we've done is we've removed in 2022 R2 any dependency on browser plugins in order to carry out the integrations with a user's mailbox and a user's contacts. So we've now remodeled and refactored completely a very large feature within Sage CRM. We've done other stuff as well. Of course, we've gone through a security review as we always do, and there's been some changes in the way in which we handle or being able to set maximum password lengths. And we've also again continuing to improve the REST API, and this time with a very useful feature for our integration partners to allow for the extension of the document upload endpoint. One of the visual changes that will take place very obviously to any user, and that is that we've implemented some basic branding changes. So we've gone through, we've made sure that we have refreshed the branding as far as the main navigation is concerned, as well as the primary colors within the interface and the dashboard. Now, this is a project that is going to straddle not just this release, but also 2023 R1 as well. We've adopted the Sage UI font as well as the Sage text font to improve the clarity of information, but there's still work that we need to do to improve the icon sets, to be able to look at the colors used in data visualization, and to basically make sure that we can simplify again to improve the clarity of the interface and accessibility. Let's have a look at what we've done with the technology to allow for the deprecation, the removal of the classic Outlook and the light Outlook plugins. And what we've done is we've moved over to ensure that we can make a connection with inside the browser to a user's own mailbox directly from within Sage CRM, so we aren't dependent on that browser-based technology. The system administrator is going to need to authenticate with client ID and secret value to be able to define that within Sage CRM. We're using OAuth 2, and this means that we are initially going to be connecting to Exchange Online. If we're connecting to Exchange Online, do we have a story for elsewhere? Well, we do, because what we want to be able to do is to be able to extend this in 2023 R1 so that we can extend and access a Google Workspace and actually hopefully be able to do as well the authenticate where customers are using an on-premise version of Sage CRM within a hybrid modern authentication environment. The point is that there's no more plugins, no more additional installs. It's simpler for us to be able to support, and once the system administrator has set up the connection, all a user will need to do is to then connect to their Exchange Online account as they would as if they were using any other app, or even just signing on through their webmail, and they can then import the contact, import email messages, and we can have all of the functionally equivalent behavior as the classic, as the Outlook Lite plugin. From directly within inside the Sage CRM interface, the user can then import contacts from their connected Exchange Online account and store them in CRM. That's going to be done as either a person or a lead record. If the company associated with the contact exists in Sage CRM, then the contact is imported as a person. Otherwise, that person, that contact is imported as a lead record. And you can see here that once you've imported it, you can then click to know that you can go directly into that user and start into that contact and start to use them inside Sage CRM. From this version on, we've changed the paradigm. We're going to assume that people are working inside CRM, and then they want to look up into their Outlook accounts and be able to find a particular email within a particular email inbox or email folder, find that email or selection of emails, file them and their associated attachments as well. So you bring everything across as the email is filed. And that's going to be working initially on the company, the person, and the opportunity, and we'll be extending that to the other entities within the system and across custom entities in 2023 R1. We've extended the upload documents feature within Sage CRM, so we've got the document and upload management, a document upload and management feature inside our REST API. That's been extended to allow us to indicate a target folder that that the attachments are dropped into, and it's a feature that is now within the main REST API that is documented on developer.sage.com. So it'll be up there with all of the other modern REST APIs like Sage Intacct and etc. Implemented all the changes within the user guide, and what's new, as you would expect, as we've removed the references to the classic and light Outlook plugins. We've described the new feature. That has not just in the user guide and help, but that's also in the administrator guide and help. And we've had to go through the description of the administration screens for all that's necessary for that. As I said, we've also done work around security policies, and we've also made, and I'll talk in a little bit about this in some of the recommendations for hardware, we've also made some changes in the administration guide. We've to support our developers. Developers are very, very important to us within the Sage CRM world because it allows us to actually have this very strong reach across all of the the back office systems that a customer might have. So we've been updating the developer guide and the REST documentation. I'm in the process of reviewing all of the documentation that I've used to create developer courses in the past, because I'll be running another set of developer education come the end of the after release, to support both our own teams but also our integrators. As part of that set of resources that we've released a new Postman collection and code snippets for Sage CRM 2022 R2. Our focus is to make sure that people are aware of how to implement in the best possible practice for the longevity of a system. Basically, what happens is that the browser environments are changing. The technology used within the browsers, like TLS, transport layer security, things like even things like the charting software, like Adobe Flash, they go out and they are no longer valid. And these are things that we're not doing, but we're making sure that we have got the correct supported environments in place. A lot of our time on, if you look at the system advisory stuff that I write up on Sage City, it is about pointing out, excuse me, you need to upgrade. And we can upgrade a customer directly from 2019 R1 and R2 all the way up to 2022 R2 as well. We've tried to bring in this idea that we're starting to talk about a little bit more confident about what is a small system, a medium system, and a large system. But we've been able to come down and use comparative analysis of things like from the Sage 300 world and Sage 200 world to look at what were the ideal sizings for a Sage CRM system and recommendations. So we've revised this. This is a graphical form of essentially what is inside our documentation. Do have a look at this. It is well worth a read to see that we have provided a little more guidance. There's a lot of very interested pressure for this from North America. We've got a lot of information to try and get to a point where we can be confident about what we're recommending. We have got Microsoft SQL Database Web Edition support, which I'm very pleased about, as a new way of improving the affordability of the system, especially when partners are partnered up with ISV and service partners, so we can reduce the cost. You know, CALs, the whole licensing of Sage CRM and the database can be a nightmare, but when you're working with an environment where you can use and access Database Web Edition, it becomes a much better proposition. Please note, the support is obviously dropped for Outlook Classic plugin and the Lite plugin. That's only dropping the support in the context of Sage CRM 2020 R2. All of the other versions that are supported, 2022 R1 and to 2020 R1 and R2, they are all still supporting the use of the Outlook Classic plugin and the Outlook Lite plugin in the context of their integration with Outlook. Well, I do hope that what I've just discussed there has been a useful overview for you on 2022 R2. You've seen all the features, you've seen all of the things that we've implemented and the extension of the support. One of the things that I'd ask and suggest is that you have a look at some of the other sessions that we've created for Summit. There's one that will cover the development strategy for Sage CRM. That'll be important for you to understand the direction that we're going on. Some of practical skills on implementation of low-risk projects and thinking about upgrades. I do hope this session has been useful. Thank you very much.